Who gets more jealous, men or women?
Are you looking at him? Are you looking at? Don't be looking at my co-host. So who gets more jealous, women or men? It turns out it actually breaks down into two different kinds of jealousy. But before we get to that, let's figure out why humans get jealous in the first place anyway. So really it's a function, it is believed, it is to curb infidelity between parents, which advances the survival of their children and their subsequent reproductive success. And evolutionarily, for a man to provide for genetically distant children decreases his reproductive success. And because men are uncertain whether they really are the father of said children, they are most susceptible to sexual infidelity. And by contrast, women can rest assured that they are the mother of their own children. However, they are more dependent on men for resources, making them more sensitive to emotional infidelity, since it could threaten the supply of resources for herself and her child. So these researchers did this study, and they wanted to look at kind of the gender differences, but they also wanted to take a look if some of it was related to genetics. So they did this huge sample with monozygotic twins, dizygotic twins, and opposite sex dizygotic twins. And if that sounded like craziness to you, for clarification, monozygotic twins share 100% of their genes. Dizygotic twins share on average 50%. So they asked them different questions about sexual versus emotional jealousy. And they compared sexual jealousy. So you suspect that while your boyfriend, girlfriend was on vacation, he or she had a one-night stand. You realize that even if he or she did have sex with this other person, they will probably never see each other again. How upset do you think you would feel if this happened? And then to gauge emotional jealousy, they ask questions like, you suspect that while your boyfriend, girlfriend was on a trip, he or she fell in love with someone else. You realize that even if she or he did develop these feelings, she or he will probably never see this person again. How upset do you think you would feel if this happened? Now, what did they find? Consistent with prior research, women reported higher levels of jealousy on both measures, which is basically explains my jealous intro. And both men and women scored higher on sexual jealousy than on emotional jealousy.
Love don't mean nothing, apparently.
Apparently not. However, men reported greater jealousy in response to sexual infidelity than to emotional infidelity. These findings square with the theory that men and women differ when it comes to different types of jealousy. And the results also revealed that genetics was a significant factor, which is the groundbreaking part of this study, accounting for 30% of the equation.
Yeah. So that both means that if you're jealous, you can chalk some of it up to your ancestry, but it also means that if you're with a person who tends to be jealous, it might be extremely difficult for them to change that.
Right. I mean, that's the big takeaway here, is that some people are just born that way. And so you want to think that maybe some of it's societal and maybe something happened with their parents or whatever, but some people are just born to be more jealous from others. I also think there's aspects, obviously, of nurture that can come into play.
Yeah, and I've always found that people who, like, there's being jealous, and then there's obviously being jealous, like making it clear to the person that you're with that you are jealous, acting in a jealous way. And I've always found that that's one of the best ways to completely sabotage your relationship. Because you're saying that not only do you not trust the other person, but you're saying that you don't have enough faith in your ability to keep the person. And I find that it very often drives people away to act in jealousy.
Right, and on top of that, I think there's like a healthy level of jealousy and an unhealthy level of jealousy where you start to be controlling and trying to control the other person to kind of mitigate some of your jealousy.
I feel like no jealousy. Like, if she has sex with someone, I don't really care, and I don't remember her name either.
Now, it
doesn't affect me.
I'm being completely real. I'm a very jealous person. And I not that I'm going to like lose the other person, because I'm pretty confident in myself. But I do get jealous. I don't want people looking at my man.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think that there's a certain amount of, like, as long as you guys have a strong bond, other people being interested in you can be sort of fun, as long as you laugh at it as a couple. It's when the other person goes off and actually looks.
Yeah, it's nice to be like, oh yeah, this person thinks my boo is hot. So then you're like, oh yeah, you like feel like, oh yeah, they're hot. Other people think they're hot too. Like, I got them.
Yeah.
But then there's the other aspect, like, wait, what if they want to like be with somebody that thinks they're hot?
And the exact opposite of that, which is not as much fun, is when a couple is like constantly saying how hot they find the other one, and it starts to reek a little bit of wanting to be convinced of it. I noticed that as well. But anyway, one thing that I did want to bring up is the thesis of the book Sex at Dawn. One of the theses, at least, is that this sort of jealousy being over sort of paternal uncertainty, the man not being sure that he is the father of the kid,
Right.
isn't necessarily something that you can trace back millions of years. It's a much more recent thing, where before, when most property was communal, it didn't necessarily matter if the kid was yours. But once you started to pass down property and especially land, now suddenly it really mattered that you were giving it to your own kid.
Right.
That's that book and a couple of other books that believe that. But I think it's an interesting sort of counter proposal.
I agree, but I want to know from you guys what you think about these findings. Do you agree with them based off your personal experience? Let us know in the comments below, and we'll see you in the next one.
Don't see you in the next one. I want to know where the fuck you were. Why you ain't call anymore?